Ever see a cool new bike thing and think, wow, that's the future, only to find out it vanished faster than free pizza at a party? Lots of bike inventions seem like genius ideas at first, but then, well, they just didn't work out. From weird shifters to suspension that bounced you into next week, these 15 bike innovations took a wrong turn somewhere. Grab your helmet. Let's check out some bike flops. Let's kick things off with a spin on engine design. The Suzuki RE5. Back in the mid-1970s, Suzuki rolled out this beast featuring a Wankel rotary engine. Forget pistons going up and down, this engine used a spinning rotor. The promise? Smooth power delivery. The reality? Well, smoothness wasn't everything. The RE5 was a gas guzzler, plain and simple. Fuel economy was terrible, and it choked on emissions. Plus, all that fancy rotary engineering made it a maintenance nightmare. Production was short-lived. The rotary engine, while cool in concept, just couldn't compete with good old piston power when practicality and the gas pump were involved. Next up, let's crank up the boost with turbocharged motorcycles. The 1980s were wild, and turbocharging cars was all the rage. Bike makers like Honda, Yamaha, and Suzuki jumped on the bandwagon, creating models like the Honda CX500 Turbo. More power. Sounds awesome, right? Well, on paper, yeah, but in practice, turbos on bikes were twitchy. Turbo lag was a major issue, and power came in surges, not smoothly. This made bikes harder to handle, especially in corners. They were also heavier and more complex. Riders soon realized that smooth, predictable power from naturally aspirated engines was often more fun and reliable than the turbo hype. The turbo craze in motorcycles fizzled out faster than a cheap spark plug. Now for something stylish, but maybe not so practical: single-sided swing arms. Born from racing, these swing arms, the bit that holds the rear wheel, were designed for super quick wheel changes and pit stops. Ducati championed them, making them look seriously slick. But for everyday riding, they often added weight, more complex to manufacture as well. For the street, the benefits were minimal. Unless you were changing tires every weekend like a MotoGP racer, the single-sided swing arm was mostly about looking cool. And even then, the extra maintenance and weight didn't always add up for the average rider. Let's get enclosed. Motorcycles with roofs and canopies. The idea? Mix motorcycle agility with car-like safety. BMW tried this with a C1. Roof over your head, safety cage around you. Sounds safer, right? But motorcycle riders crave the open air. I mean, that's the point. These roofed bikes felt claustrophobic. Top-heavy too, which messed with handling. Maneuverability took a hit. They were trying to bridge two worlds and ended up pleasing neither. Motorcyclists want to feel the wind. Car drivers want four wheels and a radio. Roofs on bikes? More like roofs over riders' heads about why they weren't selling. Okay, this one's less dramatic, but still a flop. Pillion seat straps. Designed to give passengers a secure handhold. Sounds thoughtful, right? Except awkward. Super awkward. Passengers found these straps uncomfortable, often useless in actually holding on. They were usually placed in weird spots and offered little real security. Manufacturers quickly realized riders and passengers preferred proper grab handles or just well-designed seats. Pillion straps became a symbol of good intentions gone wrong. A cheap fix that didn't fix anything. Time for some tech that sounded amazing. Active suspension systems. Imagine suspension that adjusts itself in real time, soaking up bumps and keeping you stable in corners automatically. The promise was better comfort and handling. The problem? Complexity and weight. Early versions were also unreliable. Motorcycle electronics, especially back in the day, weren't built to handle the constant vibrations and weather of the open road. They broke down, and the added weight also negated some of the handling benefits. Simpler, mechanically adjustable suspension proved more durable and, in the end, more practical. Active suspension tried to be too smart, too soon. Let's jump to the future, or at least what we thought was the future: augmented reality helmets. Heads-up displays, right in your visor. Speed, navigation, all projected right in front of your eyes. Sci-fi cool. Scully tried to make this happen, but high costs and crazy complex engineering got in the way. Production was a nightmare. Despite crowdfunding hype, this tech just wasn't ready, and neither were the finances. AR helmets remain a cool concept, but for now, most riders are happy with a clear visor and maybe a phone mount if they need directions. The Future Vision crashed before it even left the garage. Clean energy time. Hydrogen-powered motorcycles. Hydrogen fuel cells, cleaner than gasoline, right? Yes, in theory. In practice, putting them on bikes, massive headache. Hydrogen fuel cells are bulky and expensive. Safety concerns about storing pressurized hydrogen on two wheels? Big. Suzuki made prototypes, but getting from prototype to production? Too many hurdles. The infrastructure for hydrogen refueling is practically non-existent for motorcycles. Hydrogen bikes are still a distant dream, bogged down by practical problems. Safety tech again. Tilt sensing stability control. Imagine electronics monitoring your lean angle and stopping you from skidding. Sounds like a safety net, right? Early versions were a bit too eager. They weren't very accurate. Interventions could be abrupt, messing with your ride, sometimes feeling more dangerous than helpful. Manufacturers realized refining cornering ABS and traction control, simpler, more direct systems, was a better approach. Early stability control tried to be too clever before it was really smart. Shining a light on innovation, laser headlights. BMW explored these. Brighter, more efficient light using lasers. Sounds futuristic and powerful, but extreme cost. Technical challenges were immense, and safety worries about blasting laser beams down the road. Plus, LED technology got really good, really fast. LEDs became powerful and efficient enough, making lasers overkill and overpriced. Laser headlights were a bright idea that got outshone by simpler, more affordable tech. Going green, biofuel-powered motorcycles. Ethanol, biodiesel, sounds eco-friendly. But biofuels have lower energy density than gasoline. Less bang for your buck, literally. Reduced performance and range. Engines often needed modifications to run on biofuels, adding cost and complexity. The eco-benefits were there, but the performance and practicality trade-offs were too much for most riders. Biofuels haven't taken off in the mainstream motorcycle world. Comfort and convenience time. Adaptive windshields. Windshields that automatically adjust height and angle depending on your speed or conditions. Sounds luxurious, but in reality, more motors, more sensors, more weight, more maintenance. Riders found manually adjustable windshields simpler, lighter, more reliable, and perfectly adequate. The complexity of adaptive systems didn't justify the marginal benefits for most. Manual adjustments? Good enough. Adaptive? Over-engineered. Let's get torquey. Diesel motorcycles. Diesel engines, known for fuel efficiency and longevity, but also heavy, slower revving, vibrations, vibrations, vibrations. Royal Enfield made the Taurus diesel bike. Fuel economy was great, but performance and refinement? Not so much. And with the rise of electric motorcycles offering cleaner and quieter alternatives, diesel bikes became even less appealing. Diesel power in motorcycles just didn't rev riders' engines. Simplifying riding. Automatic clutch systems. No clutch lever, just twist and go. Honda's dual clutch transmission is a prime example. Easier for new riders, maybe good for touring. Mixed reactions came from experienced riders. Many felt it reduced rider engagement, lessened control. Shifting felt detached. DCT found a niche, especially in touring models, but many riders still prefer the feel and control of a manual clutch. Automatic clutches, for some, took too much of the motorcycle out of motorcycling. Finally, let's steer into hub center steering. Instead of turning the forks, you turn the wheel from the hub itself. The theory? Separate braking and suspension forces, improve handling, reduce fork dive. But Moto Tessie showcased this system. Complex linkages and pivots, different steering feel. Riders found it different, and not always better. The complexity and maintenance were also drawbacks. Traditional fork-based steering is simple, well understood, and works pretty darn well. Hub center steering remains a niche, a cool engineering exercise, but not a mainstream solution. Thinking about these 15 motorcycle misfires, you wonder, are bike companies just throwing ideas at the wall? Is there real problem solving happening, or just a desire to look innovative? And who actually buys these things anyways? Are they just rich people's toys, or do average riders ever bite? Let's ponder this. Bike companies, just like in the car world, are in constant arms races for innovation. They have to show they're moving forward, pushing boundaries. Sometimes they're trying to genuinely fix rider pain points, like engine inefficiency, handling issues, and safety concerns. Sometimes it's about marketing hype, creating buzz, looking modern, and tapping into trends. And yes, there's a market for innovation, even if it's flawed or fleeting. Early adopters, always keen to try the next big thing, are often the guinea pigs. And then there are just those who love the novelty, the look at me factor or something different, even if it's not fundamentally better. These innovations might not always stick, but they drive progress, even through the occasional dead end. But here's the twist. These 15 motorcycle innovation fails aren't necessarily bad ideas. Sometimes it's just timing, or outside factors. Motorcycle companies are juggling trends, the cool factor, practicality, and cost. Suzuki RE5 rotary engine? Cool tech, but gas prices and emissions rules killed it. Augmented reality helmets? Amazing idea. Tech just wasn't mature or affordable enough. Good ideas can fail if the world isn't ready, or if riders just prefer the tried and true. Next time you see some brand new mind-blowing motorcycle tech, remember these 15 flops. It might be the future, or it might be the next hydrogen-powered prototype that never leaves the lab. Time and the open road will tell. Sometimes the simple solutions win out over the shiny and complex. So there you have it, 15 motorcycle innovations that revved up with promise, but ultimately stalled out. From rotary engines to roofs on two wheels, not every bright idea makes it to the finish line. Got your own motorcycle flop stories? Drop them in the comments. If you're into deep dives into motorcycle history and tech, subscribe so you don't miss the next ride. Catch you on the road!